Hi, I'm Captain Larry Bell with Texas Fishing Tips, and this is your weekly fishing report.
Well, I hope everybody survived this super freezing cold weather we've had this past weekend and this week. It will continue to warm up and feel like a heat wave's coming in compared to last weekend. But that said, all this area up here along the ICW, the water temps have really drastically dropped because of all the cold temperatures that we've had. It's going to drive these fish a lot deeper in the water column. You will need to fish deep water pretty much all day until that water temps gets up. Even 2, 3, 4 degrees difference is a significant amount of water temperature change. But anything that's close to these ICWs here, off these mud area flats where you can get to the ICW and fish the edges of it, you'll find those fish hanging off those edges. Deeper water, again, 3, 4, 5 foot of water. Then they'll start to move up as the water temp does warm up later in the day. So you may want to target your fishing time periods late mornings, early afternoons, to see if you can get some fish moving, get some water temperature to come up. Work all this area up in ICW, throwing your darker down south. Corkies have been the ticket, man. Got to slow everything down. The corky bite's been amazing this past few days, so it's been real tough at the same time, but they want the slower moving bait, so really take your time working that corky. These drains are all up and down the San Antonio shoreline here, Cottonwood Bayou, all the way down to Panther. All these areas here, there's a bunch of these little back lake drains. It's got deeper guts that are in those. Those are awful key spots for you to be fishing, to look for your trout and your redfish in this area here. Trout have been fairly good in the drains. Again, they've been shocked by this super cold water that we've had over the last few days, so it's really going to take them a little while to come back to figure some stuff out and get acclimated to the water temps. Just take your time, man. The corky bite, again, has been the thing. The floaters and the sinkers of your corkies, any of your flavors, have been great. You just got to be patient with them. Pick a drain, work it in and out, up and down inside the drain, over mud, the deeper water, the 4 to 5 foot areas. You find those drains with mud in the bottom of it and a little bit of bait, and that's going to be your target areas. You can get all the way up in the back of Panther. Panther Lake, that cut through that comes into the back side of it has been a good spot. There's been a bunch of smaller fish holding in that area, but there's been a few good box trout that are mixed in there with them. But again, it's been a slow process. You have to take your time. Make sure you bundle up, especially if you're getting in the water. Make sure those lower extremities are nice and warm because this water temperature is chilly. So continue to work these areas, look for that, and that's where you'll find your trout. Down here in Italian Bend, man, you're going to get some nice covered area here. You'll get out of the wind, be protected back in this area here. Make sure y'all pay attention to weather reports. It's extremely important this time of year because the wind chills are going to be super cold. If you're going to fish in the water, you'll get a little bit more protection. Just make sure, again, that you're layered up nice and warm. If you're going to stay in your boat and fish, make sure you're extremely layered up because it's going to be super cold in this area here. Because you can't, like I say, you can get protection in here, but it's still going to be cold no matter what. You got trout, scattered redfish that are back in this area here. Again, your corkies, the Miradines have been pretty good here. The Spook Jr., believe it or not, has had just a little bit of success. Not a tremendous amount, but there has been just a little bit with the top water bite. But again, those fish have to be acclimated to that water before it to be any good for you. So I would take my time with the corkies. The down south lures have been really good in this area here. Just continue to work down this sand in this grass line that's all back in here. Once you get past that protected area, that point, you're going to start taking a little bit of wind beating here coming down from Copano Bay and straight north. So keep that in mind and just look for your bait. There's not going to be a tremendous amount of it, but once you find it, you will find some fish. Newcomb Point, heading into Newcomb Bend, all this area here, this is where you can find you some nice protection from those strong north breeze. The wind that we're going to be having coming this entire week and moving into the weekend, these are areas that you're really going to want to target. You're going to be fishing at waist deep, throwing out into deeper water because those fish that's where they're going to be hanging. They'll be looking in that colder water. They'll be looking to look for probably once to eat a day, and that's probably going to be the extent of it. There'll be a little bit of bait that's working up and down this shoreline. The one thing that's been really, really good here has been your soft dines, and then the soft dine XL. The floating corky has been good here. It's got a really slow sink rate, so that's been money. So you got to slow everything down right now. Again, with our water temps being as cold as what they are, the fish are not moving nearly as quickly and as actively as they have been prior to this week of cold weather that we've had. So everything slows down. Go to your 1/16 ounce jig heads, throw it off in that 4 to 5 foot of water. Take your time working it and bouncing it off that bottom. There's been some nice box trout that are all along this area here. If you can, once the water temp gets up a little bit, you can find a few scattered redfish over some mud and scattered shell. Those fish will be hanging in that area there as you continue to work up and down this area here. Just take your time, guys. It's not going to be a sprint by any means. You're really going to have to be patient to locate your fish. Back here in St. Charles, all this area here along this shoreline here, as you head toward the back, that's the area that you really want to target. As you work toward the back of St. Charles here, you can hit these shorelines going to the back of it. You get back to the very back of St. Charles and those little back lake areas that dump off into the biggest area back there. There's a ton of mud that's back in there. It's super soft mud, be aware of that. So if you're going to get back there and work that, water levels have come back. So what you're going to want to do is throw your corky soft devil or soft dines in that area there. Throw the floaters and the sinkers of the corkies. The devils have been working good back in that area there. Your down south lures, all your darker versions, everything. Go to a 1/16 ounce jig head on your plastics and just work your slow sink baits, suspended baits. All those areas back in there have been really productive for good box fish. Again, everything's going to be super slow. You're going to have to be really patient. If you find a pattern, you better stay on it. Where the majors and minors during this time frame with this kind of weather, they become really important because those fish, again, they're not going to eat a lot, but when they do, they'll be ready to eat, and they may just eat the one time a day. So if you can find the right bait and find them holding in an area, you'll have a really successful day.
Thanks for watching. I'm Captain Larry Bell.